The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Speaking podcast here with my man Duke Bennett, of course, the host of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. My man, it's Wrestlemania week. What's going on?
It is the greatest week of the year, other than maybe Christmas. So I am so excited. I'm happy to be back on Earnestly Speaking, and I'm ready to, stir up all the humanoids out there. The folks who are not top shelf, the flavored malt beverage, the folks who need to pull up their skinny jeans because they're going to hate listen to this. And there are certain members of the wrestling media community who have recently canceled me. They sent all their bots after me. So I apologize in advance to you, my brother, because they're probably going to be all over you for having me on the show again.
I'm okay with it, though. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Listen, man, people need to suck it up, man. People have opinions, and it is what it is, man.
It is what it is.
It is. We will preview WrestleMania 39. By the way, I miss the days when they used to number. We know it's 39, but I miss the days when they used to number the WrestleManias.
Same.
I know they stopped that somewhere where in the 20s, late 20s, or something like that. But
yeah.
I miss the numbers, man, because it kind of. Like, obviously, you keep up with it. You keep up with WrestleMania. You know what's what. But I just miss the days of when they used to the Roman numerals back in the days. Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Well, even now, I mean, this WrestleMania. I know they keep calling it LA, but isn't it technically Inglewood?
Well, is it Inglewood in LA County? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why can't they be a little bit more specific? Like give love to the Inglewood folks out there, man.
Because LA is the bigger name and LA attracts. People say, well, Inglewood, where the hell Inglewood is in California?
Inglewood's too hood for him, man. So that's why.
That too. You can't say you can't. I mean, we can do WrestleMania Compton.
Yeah.
WrestleMania Watch.
That's what I'm saying. Represent, man. Come on.
So before we get to the preview, we'll get to in a second. Give me some of your favorite WrestleMania moments of all time. Personal favorite, not the best, but personal favorite moments of all time in WrestleMania history.
Oh man, I mean, obviously Hogan, Slim, and Andre was a big one.
Yeah,
we can't not mention that, despite how we feel about Hulk Hogan. The Rockettes, something as simple as that. The Rockettes dancing with the legs and stuff like that. Was that Liberace who was dancing with them?
Correct. WrestleMania 1.
That was awesome. You know what I mean? That was just see. This is the thing. I mean,
that's what old heads like you and I, though. That's
exactly.
How does you and I go appreciate that? Appreciate that.
Yeah, these younger folks don't know what we're talking about, but that was during a time in the '80s where superstars were superstars. Michael Jackson was a big deal. Prince was a big deal. Madonna was a big deal. Liberace was a big deal.
Yeah,
even though he was ahead of our time, but still, we knew who Liberace was.
Yeah.
So to be caught up in the spectacle of WrestleMania. It was something special, man. And that's why to this day, I still go back. I don't really care what the card is so much as it's the spectacle. It's the event. It's the thing that we've been paying attention to for the past 39 straight years. So why not? You know what I mean? But, right. Things like Daniel Bryan winning the championship and what's important about that, for Daniel Bryan to wrestle 2 matches and win the world championship at WrestleMania, because his dad passed away not long after that.
Remember?
Really? Yeah, man.
No, see, the Daniel Bryan, the Yes movement. Again, that was part of my 17 years being away.
Oh, you were gone.
No, right. But however, you look back in hindsight. I didn't know that detail though. Here's the thing, but Dude, here's the thing though. Even back then, back in 2014 when that happened, I wasn't watching the product at the time. But was that the night that Taker's streak ended?
I believe it's the same night. Well,
same night, right?
I think
it was
the
year before that. Maybe even a year before that. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the same night.
I think it was the same night. I think that's when Lesnar.
Okay, was that the rest? Because that was the year the network premiered, right?
No. What you're asking me? So it's all jumbled up. I don't want to definitively say no, and then some nerd like, oh, actually. It might have been
because look, why I wasn't watching the product at the time. I was on Twitter. So you hear all this stuff that's going on. Like I still knew what was going on to some degree. Like at least as an outsider, like I knew Daniel Bryan was a big deal. Yes movement, yes on Twitter, hashtag yes, that kind of thing on Twitter at the time. So I knew it was a big deal. And obviously in hindsight, especially now 8 years later, it's like, whoa, it still holds up. So yeah, I did know what was going on to some degree, but I didn't know his father passed away before that.
Yeah, man. And that was what made it so emotional after the fact when you look back on it. It's like, wow. You know what I mean? This guy achieves this major success, and then he has to deal with this major tragedy all in one. So,
Yeah.
But that was a big moment. Caesar's Palace. The times when they were there. Jim Ross doing his first WrestleMania. I remember that.
Mania 9, yeah.
That was incredible. So it's just moments like that I fondly remember, and I love WrestleMania. Obviously, Sasha and Bianca.
Recent stuff, yeah.
For them to main event WrestleMania and to put on a classic like they did, I mean, that's a big deal. Two black women,
But I mean, get to Bianca in a second too when we get to the preview. But like Bianca is only wrestled in 2 WrestleManias, I believe, and you can argue that her 2 matches against Becky and against Sasha hold up in a top 10, 20 list all time matches
easily, yeah, easily.
She has an early case for being Mr. WrestleMania.
Yeah. And it's funny, we talked about that last year, just about Bianca and her significance, and it's funny to be where we are today. She doesn't have as big of a match this year, but she's still, they have to cool her off in order to heat other people up. She's still a big deal. You know what I mean? And I think that's just special, man. That's really, really, we're witnessing something that it'll take a long time before we see anything like it again.
Yeah, so for me, my personal favorite memories from mine, that's necessarily the best, but memories like you guys know my story too. Also, how I got into wrestling. First off, my cousin, was a diehard fan. He's 3 years older than me, and it wasn't until I saw his recorded tape of WrestleMania 3 in his VCR that was hanging out on his tape. Always had to hang out on his VCR every single day. And one day I just popped that thing in, and I was obsessed. And then, of course, seeing Hogan and Andre, and it's of course Savage and Steamboat.
Sure.
That was a big deal for me. How about the midgets, the Haiti Kid and King Kong Bundy in that match? For me personally, obviously Mega Powers. I'm a diehard Savage Hogan guy, so obviously Mega Powers exploding at 5 was a big deal for me. I remember being so pissed off at Mania 6 when Hogan lost a Warrior, because I was never a Warrior guy then. Certainly not now, of course. But I hated Warrior even back then, and the fact to beat Hogan in Mania 6 pissed me off. Mania 7, of course, with the Gulf War going on at the time too, especially, and that's the safety. We had to move it into the indoor arena because at the time they had planned at the Coliseum, and they said because of the risks, of things happening, that they moved to the sports arena in LA. Mania 9 also too stood out for me because I watched it. I watched it in the back in then when you had cable, but you couldn't afford to buy the pay-per-view. You had to watch it. What was like kind of like
squiggly lines.
Yeah. So I watched Mania 9 that way. Actually,
you had to keep flipping back and forth.
I watched Mania 9. Yeah, I did. Recent Manias for me, honestly, I say recent as this one's like actually 20 plus years old. I Mania 15 was a letdown for me, actually. Mania 15, Austin Rock, number 1. That match wasn't as great as the other 2 they had after that.
Sure.
I remember the Bossman match. The Bossman match against Taker was a travesty. So I remember that being a memorable for the wrong reasons. I mean, beyond that, the last Mania I think I was really invested in until recently was probably Mania 18, of course, with when Hogan and Rock, the icon.
Which a lot of people say is the greatest Mania of all time. I don't necessarily agree, but a lot of people say that.
Well, what is Mania? What's your favorite Mania of all time?
I don't think anything can really top 3, and that's the challenge.
Is that your favorite one or the best one?
That's a good question. That's a fair
because
question.
I would argue the best card on paper is Mania 19 on paper. If you look at the talent, you're looking at 3 generations of 3 generations be represented there. Hogan's there representing the Hulkamania era. You still got guys from the new generation. You got the new kids on the block at the time, the Lesners and those, all those people in there as well too. So the card itself of Mania 19 was fantastic. The card itself on paper.
So that would be your favorite, or that would be the best?
the best, probably the best one. My favorite is 5.
Okay,
and it's not even because of the card itself. Obviously, a Mega Powers diehard like myself loved it. To me, that was Jesse Ventura's to his apex. If you listen to Jesse Ventura the entire commentary in the 3 hours, he is off the rails, hysterical, calling Hogan the Luster, and
I know, yeah.
But even through the entire show, he was fantastic. When Rick Rude beat Warrior, which I love, by the way, Rude beat Warrior for the IC title, and him putting up Heenan as this big deal, like, finally got his first title. That was Heenan's first major title, actually, when we beat Warrior.
That's a good point.
So Ventura for me, was a big deal for me. That was Mania 5. In addition to, of course, the Mega Powers match, of course. What's your favorite one?
You know what? If you're gonna ask my favorite one, and we're really talking about talent and just being wrapped up in the spectacle, then I'm gonna go in a place that no one expects. I'm gonna say WrestleMania 37.
Really?
That was 2 years ago. Again, Bianca and Sasha in the main event, and then Roman, smashing and stacking, right?
Literally.
For him to beat Edge and Daniel Bryan and pin them both at the same time. But remember, that was the year that Bad Bunny had the match, which was just completely over the top, ridiculous, and fun. Rhea Ripley and Asuka had a good match. Like, you start going over that card. This is probably the greatest collection of talent on one card that we've ever seen.
I agree.
Strowman and Shane, they had a cage match.
And that was a good match, actually, too.
That was a good match. I
honestly, because obviously the recent ones, you want to let it settle a couple more years before you start putting in a historical context. But I would say 37 definitely too is also in that. If I told you without giving a specific number where I rank that one, that's definitely a top 10 WrestleMania. I would dare say 38 also too top 10 probably because it had the nostalgic feel with Austin come back against KO last year and a couple things happened there. Roman, I mean. When Roman and Brock isn't the best match on either night, you had a good WrestleMania.
Well, and here's the other thing too that you got to remember: if you have to show a person a WrestleMania and they're not a wrestling fan, something like a 37 is what you show them.
Yes, because it shows the diversity.
There's so much diversity up and down the card, both nights, that you can turn a person just from showing them that spectacle.
I agree.
You easily could.
No, I as you mentioned 37, I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Dude. I mean, listen, any card that can start with Lashley versus Drew McIntyre and it's for the WWE Championship, give me a break.
Yeah.
You're starting with that. That's the first match night one.
And Bobby went over.
So
which was the right move actually at the time.
Of course it was. Because he's still hot because of that. So it's interesting when you really peel back the layers, man. That was a hell of a card.
All right. You have any Mania hot takes like that you made? People may say, "Oh, that's a shocking statement about Mania." Like,
well, the number one take that I have is something I've been saying all along. I think Omos is a future world champion.
Really,
I think he's absolutely a future main eventer, and I believe that his match with Lesnar is going to be one of the more talked about matches in WrestleMania history, and Omos has to win that match. See, Lesnar can lose that match. Almost needs to win that match in order to elevate him into the main event legitimately.
I agree with you, and here's why. Because, and this is why I can't necessarily on paper it looks like a match I wouldn't want to see, and like everyone's like poo-pooing on the match and stuff. We've seen it, but here's the thing: Brock Lesnar isn't signing up in just any match unless he knows he can actually make something out of it. If Lesnar signs off on this match. Okay, the rumor was also that Lesnar didn't want to do work with Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt's a main man, but he chose his Omos. Clearly, Lesnar sees something there that hey, you know what, I could work with this actually, because Lesnar ain't just working on anybody. You know this; he's a main man.
When's the last time Lesnar was in physical danger? You know what I mean? I mean, almost his hand is the size of Lesnar's face. When's the last time he was in physical danger? The closest thing you have is the Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which people may not realize. Brock Lesnar loved working with the Big Show and would handpick the Big Show to feud with.
Yeah.
Whenever he felt like he was cooling off, he would say, "Let me work Show." You know what I mean? So there's something to that. And I think he sees in Omos, I can make another Big Show out of this guy or even better. Because this guy, unlike the Big Show, is younger, more nimble, and he doesn't have as much weight, which means that it's going to be easier to do more creative things with.
I'll give you a hot take right here, and it's probably controversial, but I don't care. And staying on the same type of Lesnar, here's a hot take. He was the right guy to end the streak.
Yeah, I think so.
I've heard cases made for Triple H the year before that, and other guys, maybe HBK on one of those two Manias that him and Taker met. No, I think Lesnar was the right guy for the streak, to end the streak. Because
if the streak had to end, then fine, Lesnar's it. You're right.
Right, and especially now, especially how given how the year played out, the rest of the year played out for him, where he was so dominant. Like, he went from ending the streak to then the next major event, SummerSlam, dominating John Cena at SummerSlam. Literally just like what 37,000 fucking German suplexes.
Yeah.
So that streak set a precedent for not just Lesnar being the guy, but being this dominant force that went all the way to the next Mania. And the only reason he lost the title in Mania play button was because of the fact that he wasn't involved in the result.
Yep.
Pretty much Seth Rollins stomped Roman Reigns, not him.
It's true.
So Lesnar, to me, was the right guy to end the streak. And to be honest with you, and even in the moment, because I remember I wasn't watching at the time. However, that was the year the network premiered. That year, the network premiered. WWE Network premiered. So I did get the network that year also too, because I wanted for the library. But I did watch that match. And I was rooting for Lesnar to win the match. And I was very happy that he was the one that ended the streak.
I mean, in retrospect, it was great business because you don't get the significance of Roman Reigns' reign without Lesnar having that dominant reign first.
Right.
You know what I mean? In that way, when you have Reigns defeating Lesnar, it matters.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Because you're painting the picture not for the short term, but for the long term also too. A lot of wrestling fans don't look at everything in big picture. They look at everything in small samples. Like, oh well, this is the bad now. Like, no, Bianca losing the title to Becky 2 years ago, SummerSlam, in the moment didn't make sense. But as you've seen the story play out in the last year and a half, now to almost 2 years, now it does.
I get why they did it business wise. I still don't like it, and I'm never going to like it.
I don't like the way they did it, but
it's Kofi Kingston all over again.
Right, but at least with that though, with Kofi, he never came back. He
never came back.
But Bianca, at least they create a story of her being in the chase. There is value in being in the chase.
Sure, absolutely.
And she got rewarded on a bigger stage at Mania against the same person. In Becky. Yep.
That's true. And you know what? In that match, I gained so much respect for Becky Lynch.
Me too.
That match, because I really felt like that match in particular, I've never seen Becky Lynch look that good since NXT when she had a couple of matches with Sasha.
So I came back in 19, and that was right when Becky won the title in the triple threat against Ronda and Charlotte. And to be honest with you, I wasn't the biggest. I mean, I liked her, but I wasn't the biggest Becky fan. She was too baby faces for me anyway. It's the reason why I couldn't stand Seth Rollins at the time. And then once they course corrected that a year later, I bought into both those characters. And to me, once Becky turned heel, to me, I was sold. And that's why it made sense for Bianca to go over.
I never really like her. I just never like her match. I don't like the way that Becky works. Never really did, unless she was in there with somebody like Sasha or even a Charlotte. Okay. But there's just something about Becky Lynch's work where I always felt like she wasn't doing enough to bring her opponent along with her. Maybe she just wasn't able to. But what she did for Bianca, that was what I've been waiting for this entire time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because clearly Bianca is just she doesn't have enough experience to handle that moment and look that good on her own. She needed a lot of help.
Right.
Well, you know what I mean?
And who else? Who better?
Who better? And listen, Sasha Banks did it for Bianca. Mm-hmm. Even though I thought that match was ridiculous because it was too 50-50 for my taste.
In terms of what?
I felt that Sasha and Bianca was too competitive of a match. I felt like Bianca should have had far more dominant offense in that match and win definitively that way. It didn't make sense to me.
I agree with you on that, and I kind of view this match with Asuka in the same way. Even though Asuka is great what she does, get me wrong, I love Asuka, love her. Bianca is probably the only person that physically, or people that can physically somewhat match her.
Sure.
Would be Rhea.
Sure.
Or would be probably Charlotte.
Yep.
So aesthetically speaking, there's not a lot of ladies that can actually hold their own. Maybe Bayley to some extent, but for her and Bayley has some fantastic matches. Of course.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because Bayley is that damn good too, especially. But yeah, I can see your point there.
So
all
the
right.
story. Well, you just brought it up. Let's stay there for a second. The story with Bianca and Asuka should be Bianca is beating the hell out of Asuka, and then Asuka, she slips on a banana peel. Maybe Asuka does the mist or whatever and gets the victory. So now you have a heel Bianca chasing Asuka.
Well, that's what we think we will be getting very soon. We'll get to that match in just a second because that's exactly where I think we need to talk about. Let's get to the night one matches first. I want to spend some time on Bianca Asuka in a second, but let's get to the first match here. U.S. title on the line: Austin Theory versus John Cena. But Cena kind of buried Theory a little bit a couple weeks ago on Raw. But I know a lot of folks aren't big on Austin Theory. I kind of like him. I think this latest like reboot of him in the last like 5 months, I buy into it. I mean, I didn't mind the whole like selfie thing and all. There definitely was a limit to that, of course. But I like this theory run here in the last couple months. As U.S. champion, he's not ready for the main event yet, though. But I think U.S. champion is right where he should be. And again, I'm a guy that keeps saying mid card matters. The mid card has to matter. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I definitely want to formally apologize to Triple H and the team, for Theory in particular, because at first I did not see where they were going with him. But looking back on it now, he definitely is. The character is a lot stronger and back on track to where they should be. Yeah. The original Austin Theory was a badass, and everybody, including Scoot Andrews, one of my favorite wrestlers and also a good friend at this point. Shout out to the Black Nature Boy, Scoot Andrews. He had pulled my coat a couple years ago and said, "Listen, Austin Theory is everything that they say he is. Like, that kid is incredible in the ring," because he had just finished working with them, and he put him over on the Indies. And so I've been watching Theory. I didn't like the goofy stuff that he was doing in NXT. I understood it because you gotta find the ability to be a character. But who he is now is who he should have always been.
Correct.
So because of that, I'm going to say something that goes totally against my philosophy. Austin Theory, not only does he have to beat John Cena, he has to beat him clean. I do not feel that the heel needs to cheat in this situation because Cena needs to put him over strong, because when are we going to see Cena again in the ring?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So put him over strong. This kid has to take some offense, and then again, he needs to dominate and win definitively so people can be shocked, and then that can be a story going forward.
And I'll be honest with you, I think that will happen on Saturday.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because I think, again, you're going to create stars also too. While you have your Romans and on top of the card and Cody's and all that, you do need to create stars. This is how you do that. John Cena is doing that, and John Cena doesn't get hurt by this. Come on, doesn't get hurt. He's not even a part timer. He's barely a part timer as it is. You know what I mean? So the fact he's doing this match for this kid, I think, if Cena wins his U.S. title, what does that do for Cena? Really, what does it do? It doesn't do anything.
Doesn't do anything
at all. So yeah, Austin Theory has to win this. I agree with you. Win it clean and all that. I think what will happen. How about this one? Seth Rollins against Logan Paul.
You know what? I want to see Logan Paul win this match. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I think that you can get more miles out of it because they were slapped together kind of quickly. The feud makes sense, but I don't want it to end. I think we're just in the beginning. So whether it's the Miz interrupting it and finding a way to help Logan Paul, whatever, I want to see Logan Paul win this match. I want to see him cheat to win, but I want to see him win. So
if Seth Rollins was a definite heel, I'd say, yeah, I'm with you on that. But he's taking a lot of WrestleMania losses lately, though.
But does anybody care? You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't. I'm just saying, right? But
he's still strong.
He's now a tweener now.
Yeah.
I agree that Logan winning this actually extends the feud probably into SummerSlam.
But that's what I want. SummerSlam, you can bring him to Saudi Arabia. Like, there's a lot of things you can do with this.
Right. And the whole idea is to create as much legs as possible for the company. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I agree with you. I think Logan will win this match. I don't think he'll win it clean, though. I think there'll be some interference somewhere. But I think Logan will win this match.
Well, know what? Let me throw a wrinkle in there. Let's have Ali be the one to help Logan win.
Right.
After what we saw on Raw.
Right. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. No, I'll take Logan this one, but it won't be clean, obviously. Yep. All right, you got the 6 women's tag team match between Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it. I have no interest in this match. I think it's a joke. I feel like if you're going to bring Trish and Lita back, they should be in individual matches, putting somebody over.
Agreed.
Okay. So this nonsense that we have here, the only way it works for me is if Becky Lynch turns on them or they turn on her.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the only so have them turn on Becky and Becky loses the match for her team. That I like. They lose the match somehow, then they beat Becky down over it, and now you can take that to SummerSlam and keep Becky busy and out of the mix because she has to avenge that. I'm with that. But anything outside of that, I just think this is a joke.
Yeah, there's got to be a reason why this happens, because there's no way first off, I got a problem having 2 of your best women in company history involved in a 6-man tag.
Yeah,
Becky and Bayley are too good to be lumped in a 6-man tag match. Exactly. They should be having their own individual matches because they're that damn good.
Exactly.
So there's got to be a reason. The only reason you're doing this is because there's a bigger story, a bigger payoff on this going forward.
Well, let's hope, because I mean it is WWE.
Yeah. You know so I'm taking Damage Control to win this, number one. Let's just start there, because if anything, Dakota and Io need the rub here more than anybody else.
Yeah, they do.
So I'll go Damage Control there for the win. All right, we mentioned earlier Lesnar and Omos.
Yeah, Omos has to win this match. He has to win this match. He has to, and the way that he needs to win is he really needs to. And we can have interference from the Hurt Business. Maybe this is how you put Omos into the Hurt Business.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The Hurt Business interferes in this match, and we don't call them the Hurt Business yet, but those individuals come in and cost Lesnar the match, and Omos stands above him with his foot on top of Lesnar because he conquered Lesnar. And again, now you have something that can continue after WrestleMania. That's a great story to keep going. Or not. Maybe Lesnar goes away for a while.
I mean, the assumption is Lesnar going away for a while. That's what he does. He never really hangs around beyond Mania. He hasn't in a while, other than 2019 anyway, in recent memory. He's been going away pretty much at the Mania. Like, he took foot over Roman twice, and so I don't see why Omos couldn't win this match, and for that reason, because I agree with you. Omos has to win this match. Yeah. Then, because if he doesn't win this match, why are we doing this match in the first place?
Listen, you Omos has to win this match because Cody Rhodes needs a giant.
There you go.
Period. And I don't care if Cody wins or loses. We're going to talk about that later. I know. But Cody Rhodes needs a giant. He needs some odds against him that he has to overcome, and that's not going to work unless you have a guy like Omos be strong, and he's not going to be strong if he's losing to Lesnar. It's just not going to work.
This is basically Cena and Austin Theory pretty much all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna go Omos here. It won't be clean, but I think it'll definitely be a victory here. MVP is on the side, on the outside for Omos, of course.
Yep.
All right, here we got the Raw's Women's Championship between Bianca Belair and Asuka. I gotta admit, the build of this thing has been kind of blah.
Yeah,
but there's no doubt the match will be fucking fire. No doubt about that.
Here's the problem. We know that Asuka, in terms of her martial arts ability and her shoot ability, Asuka could probably beat Bianca up, even though Bianca's much stronger than she is.
Yeah.
So my concern, which you can play into this, but my concern on an honest level is that Asuka is going to stiff the hell out of Bianca. May not be on purpose, or maybe it is on purpose, but I think she might blacken Bianca's eye. We might see Bianca's nose bleed for the first time. Like, I think this is going to be a stiff match. And maybe we need that in order to complete Bianca's turn. But Bianca has to come out of this a heel. That's my opinion on that.
If not now, sometime in the next couple months. Has to happen soon.
Forget about months. She's stale right now. Bianca.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it because I was going to say that, and I said as someone who loves Bianca, my favorite women's wrestler on the whole roster. But yeah, she's stale, and for the record, we do have precedent. She was a heel in NXT. So.
Absolutely. So she could do it, and quite frankly, her promos, even when she's a babyface, she's talking like a heel because she's saying she's better than everybody. So EST, right? The greatest, the best, the fastest, whatever. So I think that Asuka needs to win, and Bianca needs to get frustrated and then destroy her.
I can see Bianca winning, but also turning at the same time. Make it, and that would.
So she cheats to win. Maybe she cheats to win.
She does something, something to where she gets some heat.
She does that, then she's got to laugh at the crowd afterwards.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, like, if they want to keep Bianca's champion, you can still do that and have her still turn as well too.
Yeah.
Keep the belt and turn all at the same time too. There's something because I feel like there's more for her. Like, if Bianca's going to turn to heel and lose this match, I feel like the heel turn should come maybe in a couple of weeks, as opposed to it's kind of sprinkled in for a couple of weeks. It's supposed to do it immediately, whereas she can win and maybe cheat and get some real heel heat, and then hold the title and then have Asuka in chase mode.
You're not wrong.
And I think Asuka. I mean, I think this match would be great. I think Asuka could probably milk this thing into at least another 2 months.
I think they're going to beat the hell out of each other, though. That's the big thing. And right. And there were nuggets. I mean, remember, what was it? Was it the Hell in the Cell? There was a match where Asuka grabbed Bianca's ponytail, and that was a real moment. And she was kind of like spinning it around. And I think what she was trying to tell Bianca to do is like spin the ponytail around because they had just done a spot together. Mm-hmm. And Bianca grabbed her ponytail from Asuka and like slapped her. She didn't slap her in the face, but she like slapped her hand. Like, don't do that.
Do you think there's real heat between these two in real life? Or is this, I
don't think it's. I don't think that's. I think it's unintentional heat. I think here we have a cultural issue here where Asuka didn't. She's not thinking. You're grabbing a black woman's hair. Also, you're crossing the line and trying to tell me how to work my gimmick. So there's a whole respect thing there. Like, yeah, you're a veteran, but you stay in your lane and I'll stay in my lane. And even if I miss a cue on something, so what? You know what I mean? That's right. My business. You don't grab my ponytail and swing it around. It's not your ponytail. So, I think there's something there, but I also think that Asuka is not going to be punked by anybody, which is why I said I think this match is going to be one of the stiffer matches on the card, male or female.
Okay.
I think we might see some hard ways in this match. Somebody's going to be bruised up, possibly bloody. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. The next one here, this could be a main event tonight. Maybe not. We'll see. The SmackDown Women's Championship on the line: Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. There's obviously a story here that dates back to the pandemic. These two met at the one fan WrestleMania WrestleMania 36. I gotta tell you, Rhea has been now 2 years on the main roster, and to see the reboot they've done with her has been fantastic. And it has to. There's no way in hell that they don't pay it off here. She's as hot as she's ever is, and may ever be. Who knows? But she is right now the hottest woman right now in the company.
Yeah, agreed. So what does that mean? Where do you go?
She has to win. She has to win.
Okay.
She has to win.
Yeah.
Because what does that do for Charlotte at this point? Charlotte holding the title another few months doesn't do anything. Charlotte already beat Rhea once running WrestleMania 3 years ago.
Here's my issue, and I said it. I did the little preview of that match. Here's my issue. Charlotte Flair still. I mean, you main event WrestleMania and you don't walk out the champion. That's a problem. So, she did it. The first women's main event, Charlotte was in it, and she didn't win. Are we going to do that again?
But is anybody actually like noticing that though? Like, she has 13 reigns already as it is?
But EJ, here's the problem. You got to have certain people that are so high up the card that they're instant draws. And Charlotte Flair, unfortunately, is not there yet. And one of the reasons why she's not there yet is because she hasn't had her major WrestleMania moment yet. You know what I mean? Like, Charlotte Flair needs to be where Roman Reigns is to a certain degree in terms of drawing power.
She's
not there.
Right, but I don't think you can do that at the risk of cooling off Rhea Ripley.
I don't think Rhea Ripley's never going to be a draw like Charlotte Flair has the potential to be. So who cares? And that sounds insensitive, but Rhea Ripley, she could be Seth Rollins. She's never going to be Roman Reigns.
Isn't Becky a larger draw, though, than Charlotte, considering just the fact that she has main event WrestleMania, she won WrestleMania, and
Becky's the Ultimate Warrior. She's a draw in the short term, but she's not a long-term draw. No. Becky Lynch doesn't have the chops to be able to endure like a Charlotte Flair can. There's only certain people who can do something like that. You got your Hulk Hogan, you got your John Cena, you got your Ric Flairs, you got people who are on just, it doesn't matter how great everybody else is, they're on a different plane. And I don't see it where Rhea Ripley could ever get there. And certainly Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, there's just no comparison long term between the two of them. I think Charlotte has to be the one.
Plus, I don't buy Charlotte as a baby face. I'm sorry.
No, well, she's and here's the problem. And shame on her. Well, you can say shame on her, or you can say she's right. She knows her character. No one should have to buy her as a baby face because she's going to forever be a tweener. The fans are not going to allow her to be one or the other ever, just like her daddy.
Yeah, that's true.
She's not allowed.
That's very true. No, that's a good point. It's a great point.
So it doesn't matter what she does. She's going to be booed and hated by some who feel she gets too much. But those same people are going to love to see her in the main event because they want to see her get hers. So in a weird way, they're going to be cheering her on whatever path she's on because they need her in the main event so their favorite can beat her.
Right. So these matches are supposedly night one matches.
Yep.
These next bunches have not been determined officially yet for which night it's going to be on, but we assume that most of these will be night two. So here's what we think is night two matches here. This match I'm looking forward to watching. Triple threat match, WWE Intercontinental Championship, Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. This has match of the year written all over it.
Sure.
Potential, definitely.
Sure. I'm not against it. I feel that Gunther has to get out of this match without the championship. And he's another one. He needs to be on a path against Cody Rhodes.
Correct. I agree with you. I think him losing this title is going to be similar to what happened to Randy Savage in 87 and Mania 3, where, you lost the title to Steamboat.
But you're in the main event now.
But you came out big, looking better and bigger. And a year later, of course, you got rewarded. If Roman's going away, as we all hear that it's probably going to be happening for a little while, you need to elevate guys. And I might have texted to you a couple months ago that Gunther needs to be in the title picture next year or so.
I agree.
And this is the start of it.
But here's my issue with him.
Okay.
And listen, stranger things have happened. I would not be surprised if he hears this episode.
Okay.
Or if somebody clips this part that we're talking about his match. Gunther, whatever you're taking that helps you lose all that weight, you got to stop taking it because you don't look good right now. You've lost a little too much weight, and the problem is you're not putting on enough muscle fast enough. Now, look, I'm not saying do HGH or anything like that to put on muscle. No, stay natural in that regard. But that little drug that they're using that was supposed to be for something else, but it also helps with weight loss. It's clear that you've been taking that. You're not putting on enough muscle mass, so you got to kind of figure it out, man. But you're starting to look a little terrible. In terms of it's too much weight loss. Your arms look too skinny. Like it's not, dude, hit the stop button immediately, please. I'm just going to say that.
Right. So Drew wins this one, right? I got Drew winning this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think, they're interchangeable. It could be Drew. It could be Sheamus, but whoever loses needs to be either Drew or Sheamus. Gunther can't lose this match. What I mean by that is he can't take the pin.
Right.
You can't take the pin. Yeah. So whatever you do, it could be either one because those guys are going to feud after this. But as long as Gunther's not taking the pin, then fine. I'm down.
Okay. All right. We got Edge versus the Demon Finn Balor in a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, I mean,
don't sound too excited about it.
No, I'm not. But you know what? The good part about that is they're both good competitors, so they could pull off a great match with each other if they want.
You.
I just think Finn Balor has been one of the more disappointing superstars that we've seen in WWE history. You know, whatever he was in New Japan Pro Wrestling, it never translated into WWE. No matter what, and they've done everything they could to try to help the guy, but it's clear he is a lower mid card guy.
And that's the thing too, because he's very talented.
Very talented.
I love his
handsome guy.
Absolutely, and I love his matches too, though. But there's something that because there's a lot of these stop and goes going with him in the last like 5 years.
But the stop and goes are not because the company's cooling him down. He's not getting the degree of reaction that a guy who's been given so much should be getting. Like the company's giving you too much for you not to blow the roof off the place. You know what I mean? He just can't seem to get to that next gear. So, and that's okay. Maybe this is his ceiling, but it's like, man, what a disappointment.
So, are you gonna pick Edge this one? Or are you gonna take Finn? Because I think Finn needs to win here.
Finn needs to win, but the problem and the other part about that is this might be Edge's last match. So, you know, he doesn't have many more matches left in him, Edge.
Right.
So if this is indeed his last match, then it would be nice for him to put somebody over. So fine. Yeah, Finn can win. And you know what? I don't think Finn has to win clean. I think Judgment Day can interfere on this one.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Especially if Edge is leaving, I can see where it's going.
Yeah.
All right. Women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag match between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Natalya and Shanti versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville. This is easy. Fucking give me Ronda and Shayna. Call it a day. Goodbye.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there's claims that Ronda is injured, and she very well could be. But I mean, that her and Shayna, that's the money tag team. So yeah, they need to win,
and that's probably only
decisively.
And I know the numbers say because a lot of people don't like Ronda, but the numbers say otherwise. This might be the only way Ronda could be palpable for the time being.
Yeah, agreed.
In a tag team.
Agreed.
You know, if you hate her even more with Shayna. And I think I also save Shayna too, because Shayna's been misused in this company for the last year as well, too, in my opinion.
Yep.
So we also have a men's. I'm assuming this is happening at Mania, but the men's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4-Way Tag match between Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits versus Alpha Academy with, of course, Chad Gable Otis versus the Viking Raiders. By the way, I like what they're doing with Otis. The OT stuff.
Me too.
That's great storytelling. That's great, man. This is the shit I watch wrestling for. It's for the comedy and all this stuff. I watch it for.
And that's who he is. It's like, you know what? It would have been nice for him to be this monster, but he's not tall enough to be a monster. So, you know what? Do the comedy stuff full blast with him. Just let him do it. He did well with Mandy Rose, so why not? You know,
Profits.
You know what? They want to break up the Profits. And I guess if you're going to break them up, then you might as well break them up now.
Yeah, they were going to break them last year, remember? And then that never happened. Yeah. Here's the thing. They can both... look, I think if Bianca's going heel, Montez has to go heel with her as well, too.
Absolutely.
That has to be one of the things. But you can also do the same way where all three of them actually are kind of the same.
Well, that's true. And you know what? There's value in that. There's value in that. I mean, but then you got to keep them away from Judgment Day.
Which you could. You have two shows for a reason.
You already have a heel faction with the woman in it, so then you keep them away. They shouldn't be anywhere near each other.
I agree. I'm gonna go Profits here.
That's fair. I mean, I'm just not interested in the match, and I guess that's my problem. So I don't really care who wins.
Who actually? Yeah, exactly. Who actually need to win this match?
Yeah,
is a question. I don't know.
Well, they're going to break up at least two of those tag teams.
Yeah.
So, because Otis is going to go full blast with the models, and then you have Chad Gable. Him and Gable Stevenson are likely going to have a stable with what's the other guy's name, or maybe with the Creed brothers,
right?
But Gable Stevenson's brother. I mean, they're all going to. This is a wrestling group that could dominate,
right?
In their own right, especially on the mid card. So, I just maybe the Profits, and then Montez either turns or they both turn and become full blown heels. Yeah.
Right. All right. How about the Mysterios? Rey against Dominic. Finally, father and son. Look, teased for 2 years now. Finally got here.
I think it's embarrassing that people are saying that Ray should win this match. Why? Who needs to win?
It doesn't make like you want him to win, yes, but what makes sense for the story?
Yeah,
Dominic getting over.
Dominic Mysterio is the most improved wrestler, like ever, as far as I'm concerned. This guy has found a way to do something that 99% of the industry has not figured out, and that's how to get the fans to give him legitimate reactions.
Yep,
these aren't playing along reactions. People can't stand the fucking guy. Pardon my French.
No, you.
So I look at it and I say, I want this kid to continue because he finally is on the right diet. So his body is finally starting to respond to the training. He's actually putting on some muscle. He's lost a lot of his baby weight.
His character's great too. His
character is incredible. Yeah, and he's growing into his character. You're starting to believe a little bit more. Like, maybe this kid is a little punk. You know what I mean? Maybe this kid is the kid who's hanging out with the tough guys.
And it's kind of funny too because both him and Rhea need each other, and both went to the stratosphere.
They saved each other.
By saving each other. So
they saved each other. Yeah.
As much as I want Ray to win, the right move is Dominic has to win.
Yeah, he has to win.
And that's why I care about the story, not about the individual.
So and not only that, not only does Dom have to win, he needs to dive full body into this character even more than he's already been.
Yeah,
like this character can't change in the next year. We need to go into WrestleMania with Dominic Mysterio being the leader of this group and being like the complete badass in that regard. That doesn't mean he has to dominate anyone to win. He can still cheat to win, but he needs to be the leader of the gang now.
Him turning major heel, who this hurts actually. It hurts Baron Corbin actually.
Yeah, it completely killed Corbin. Yeah.
Because Baron Corbin, he's only space for like one major MJF heel per show.
Yeah.
And that was Corbin for a lot of years. And now Dominic is that guy.
Yeah. And he's doing a much better job than Corbin ever could have.
Right now. And I love Corbin for the record, but I mean, it's taking a lot of heat off of Corbin. All right. 2 more matches. Here we go. Bloodline related here. We got the Usos versus KO and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the Undisputed Tag Team Championship. I mean, look, this is one part of a major story. Obviously, we'll get to Roman and Cody in just a second. I mean, is this the night the Bloodline officially, the cracks in the armor becomes just broken altogether? Do we see both Roman and the Usos lose their titles? I mean, I don't see a reason why to continue the Usos when holding the title unless there's more story to tell moving forward. So I got to go KO and Sammy here for that reason.
Here's the issue.
Go ahead.
How do you reward Sammy for the incredible job he's done over the past 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
To go from Johnny Knoxville to literally being a main event draw.
Probably main event night one, most likely. This could be night one main event, most likely. Could be.
So how do you not reward him? So I understand giving him the title, but there is something intriguing about Roman Reigns losing the championships and the Usos having theirs. So now Jey Uso can look at Roman and be like, well, we're champions, you're not. Are you really the tribal chief?
That's another point too.
You know what I mean? And then maybe Solo needs to win a championship. Maybe Solo needs to be the IC champion or the NXT champion or something. I don't know. But everyone has a belt but Roman. What does that story look like?
Yeah. This can go many places, the story.
Yeah. But the more likely one is that everyone loses all at once. And then it's just the infighting after that.
The reset button on the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'll go KO and Sammy here. That wouldn't shock me if the Usos do win, but I'll go KO and Sammy because it's the story to be paid off at some degree, at least on that end. I can see that happening.
Agreed.
All right, let's get to the big one, main event of the entire weekend, should I say? The Roman Reigns against Cody Rhodes for the undisputed Universal Championship. Which we're hearing rumors now that they're working on a new belt design and all this other stuff. Cody being the guy to get over, not a shock. We kind of read this from like a year ago, honestly. But I got to tell you, Duke, the more we get closer to the match, I'm still buying that idea of Roman still coming up this thing as the champion. That would be the swerve. Is Cody winning this match too obvious?
It's a fair question, and I guess here's the issue.
Yeah.
The shelf life of Cody Rhodes being the top guy in the company and having the championship is very, very small. Mm-hmm. It's not a good shelf life. This is like you buying all natural food that's going to expire in 3 or 4 days in the fridge. You know what I mean? So I think that you gotta throw every big monster at Cody, and you got to recruit some more. You got to get some of these NIL kids and dress them up and what have you. Just Cody has to be in constant danger for about the next 6 months, just to try to draw some money with him as champion. But in reality, that whole Great White Hope thing, you're really taking your audience and you're splitting them in a way that I don't think is going to help. I think it's going to hurt business tremendously doing it that way. Because we know that diversity is the sweet spot. You know, there's a reason why Roman Reigns has been the draw that he's been.
As a heel.
Even as a heel, right? He looks like he could be anything and everything, just like The Rock was, right? Looks like he'd be anything and everything, which means that he can appeal to more people. There's no question what Cody Rhodes is. He's the Great White Hope. He's draped himself in the American flag. Who do you appeal to with that character other than just people who are wrapped up in the great in the American flag?
Unless, now that being said, if they had brought, I hate to say this, bring Brandy to the picture, maybe that kind of sort of
I don't think that helps
a little bit,
I think that irritates people even more. The only way you save Cody Rhodes as a draw is putting Paul Heyman with him. That is the only way you can save that, and you can make some money off of that.
Interim heel?
I'm telling you right now, Paul Heyman has to go with Cody and do for Cody what he did for Roman, which is what he did for Brock Lesnar. I think Heyman going with Cody is how you make that character interesting enough that people will be must-see TV to see what's going to happen next.
That's an interesting angle there.
I've been racking my brain about this because you're right. Just having Cody beat Roman right now, it will probably go down as the worst move in company history since putting the belt on Warrior.
It feels like vanilla too, though. Like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do that, and that's it. Like, okay, but I feel like there's more to the bone there. Like, the thing is, the big question here, I think we got to ask ourselves is there more to the bloodline story that we have not touched on yet that we can still get for another 6 months to a year?
Are Roman, you saying with Roman as champion?
Yeah,
absolutely. Because whoever defeats Roman, that's going to be a big deal.
Because doesn't Roman kind of need the belt? The whole idea of him being this dominant guy is because the belt enhances that.
But there's money in telling the story of Roman falling from grace and then how his family reacts and then they challenge his authority. So that is a great what would they call that? Co-main event. That's a great special attraction that you can get a lot of miles out of for a long time. But it still puts the championship in question here because there aren't enough challengers that are enough of a draw where it makes Cody Rhodes make sense. And Cody's going to get booed out of the building around the world for the most part because people just, that whole American hero stuff just doesn't work long term. It just doesn't. I know Hulk Hogan did, but that was then. We're a different world now. People are cynical. So unless Cody's going to be heel and lean into it, he's going to be the Bret Hart. You know what I mean? The Canadian who's a hero in his own country, and then he's a hero everywhere else except for the United States because he's going against the United States. Right. Cody could be the United States, the American Nightmare, and because he's the American Nightmare, F everybody else. But Paul Heyman can tell that story for him. But I think that's the money. And if you're not going to do that, we're going to see a tremendous drop in interest in WWE in a very short amount of time.
But here's the thing: we hear the Roman's going away for a little while. That's the rumor. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but that's the rumor. People putting that out just to throw people off the scent. But I don't know. Like I just think that the closer we get to this thing, Cody winning just feels way too obvious. And I'm sorry, WWE does not do obvious all the time. They don't just do obvious.
But if Heyman turns on Roman and goes with Cody, does that not make you want to watch and see what happens next?
Of course.
That's the thing, right?
Are there any signs of that? Have you seen any signs of that possibly happening?
Well, that's the best part of a swerve. You're not supposed to.
Well, that's the thing. Well, right, but we also true. We had signs of that with him turning on him with Brock.
Exactly.
2 years ago.
Exactly. And Heyman has told Cody's story better than Cody has. Talking about his relationship with Dusty, how he booked Dusty when they were poor, and all these other things. Heyman has told Cody's story very well. If you take Heyman out of this, there's the interest in Cody and Roman is not there as much. So what could Heyman do for Cody going forward?
Pay it off and turn on Roman. Yeah.
And then even beyond that, Heyman starts, now you have WWE guys who stuck around and didn't leave the company. And now Heyman could talk about Cody was smarter than them and he was able to come back and now he's bigger than them on the card. There's a lot of layers to this thing that a guy like Heyman can make it make sense. Cody by himself, it ain't going to work, man.
No, you're buying it. No, I'm buying into the idea. Like if you're going Cody as a All-American babyface, you're basically doing Hulkamania all over again.
Well, and you're forcing him to be a heel, whether you realize it or not. You're trying to present him as a babyface, and people are just going to throw it up.
How many legs does that have, really, especially in 2023? Like,
you have less than a quarter.
You even heard back in the 80s when Hogan was still over. There were times where like they had to like modify things because there were times where Hogan would get booed and they had to on TV change it. I remember a story about Jake Snake Roberts when him and Hogan were supposed to feud and they ended that because Jake was getting more pop than Hogan was.
Yep.
And Jake was a heel at the time.
And I think the same is going to happen to Cody. I get it. He's selling merch right now. Handsome guy. It's an interesting story. He's draped in the American flag. So for the short term, he's the great white hope. And certainly there's that backlash. You had a person of color be a dominant champion for so long. Mm-hmm. We do need to see something fresh. And there is that's cool. That was a great moment. But long term, it doesn't work.
So you're saying Cody could win, but it has to be something that's like catastrophic in terms of like Paul turning on Roman for it to happen.
Yes, I think you give
it won't be Cody just winning. Oh my God, I overcame Roman Reigns, beat him, and I'm done, and I'm the champion, and that's it.
Well, because here's the thing. You're going to force Roman babyface eventually because, again, the bloodline, now you have a story within a story. So we got to go get Paul Heyman. He just turned on Roman and Roman lost everything. And then, the bloodline could be like, well, all right, yeah, we can do that because we're family, but we don't have to take orders from you anymore, man, because you still lost. So they're still telling that story while he's pursuing Cody and Paul.
And Roman doesn't have to be babyface complete either. You could be a tweener and still get majorly over.
Exactly.
Like look at Seth Rollins now. He's not babyface.
And maybe Seth Rollins, maybe eventually he can get Seth Rollins to help him because he's just pitiful. He's lost everything. He's lost everyone. Who's going to stand beside him? Now you're telling the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens story all over again with different people.
It makes sense, dude. I don't know if they'll go that route, obviously, but the way you're drawing it up, and I mean, those are all the options you have on the table here.
See, this is the thing. I'm always thinking, and I know you think this way too. Yeah. As fans, what do we want to see? But beyond that, what's going to make money? You know what I mean? These casuals, how are you going to keep their interest? Because you have them right now more than you've had them probably since the 80s or maybe since the Attitude Era. How are you going to keep them? You can't just pay it off with Cody wins and then, all right, good. We're good now. Roman goes away and that's it. Like Cody's going to fail because he's really not that interesting. He really isn't.
No, and Roman is.
And Roman is, exactly.
Roman should be the top of the card. Do they officially split the belts, you think, after this Mania?
I mean, I understand the logic behind it, and I'm not against it. I just, what's best for business is what comes up in my mind. I mean, you're getting the company ready. Allegedly, you're entertaining sale talk. So do you really want to do Do you want to make too many changes in a way that could potentially devalue the company? You got to think about that. You know what I mean? I think you got to have your top draw, whoever the champion is. They need to be on both shows. And if you split the belts, then you're splitting the company again, which, they found out that in some ways it made financial sense as far as the TV contracts up to a point, but then people stopped watching because they didn't like certain things as much as they like other things.
So you think it's very possible the brand split can be over after this WrestleMania, or close to being over? The brand split in general.
If I was making the decision, I would not do it yet. I would wait another year and let's see if the company gets sold, and then whoever owns the company can decide what they want to do. But right now, I think that's too dramatic of a pivot for the company. It could potentially hurt the revenue that they're generating. And I would not think that's a smart move right now.
One last thing, we'll get you out of here. They got 2 minutes. Any surprise returns coming this weekend, you think? Any names you think?
Oh, I don't know. I think Randy Orton could pop up.
That's the one I was thinking about, Randy Orton, maybe.
Randy Orton could pop up. I know some people are saying, well, what if Orton cost Cody the championship? I understand that story to be told, but I'm not interested in that story right now. Okay. I'm just not. I think that it would be better if Orton does something to Theory or does something to someone that we don't expect him to do something to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If we're going to go that route, or maybe you just save Orton for Monday Night Raw.
What about your boy Riddle?
Look, man, I would release that guy immediately.
I know you would. I know you're not a big fan of his. I know.
I never liked him.
Yep.
I never. And you know what? And my heart out is in 15 minutes, so we got a little bit of time. Let me just say this.
Okay.
And I know that I'm going to piss some people off, but I'm going to do it. There's something about people who are being their true selves. I can see it, and I identify it immediately, and I'm comfortable with people like that. Whether I like you or not, whether we agree or disagree, you and I can coexist when I know you're being your true self.
Right.
People who have this mask up, and it's clear that they're not being their true selves, and it's clear that they just have a lot of conflict going on spiritually. I sense that in certain people. So when I have a strong reaction against somebody, including, entertainers, including pro wrestlers, a lot of times it centers around the fact that I can tell that whoever this person's true self is, they're not being that. And they're being destructive because they have this internal struggle going on. So with a guy like Riddle, I think what has always made me, take a step back away from him, because he's a talented guy. He's a handsome guy. He looks like a main eventer, but he's not being his true self. And because of that, the guy is dangerous. He's going to end up hurting more people around him than helping them. I don't think he's good business when he's not being his true self. Now, maybe he can come back and actually be his true self and live his true life outside of wrestling, which, then maybe that would change. Roman Reigns is a prime example of that. I was always against Roman Reigns because he wasn't being him true self. You're a jerk. You're a handsome guy. You got a gorgeous wife. You come from a great family. You're making all this money. Why are you pretending like you're humble?
It's funny. Like, I watched Roman from pre-2020. Like, it's almost unwatchable in the sense
it's
disgusting. And not because he's not good. It's just that he's so much better now.
Because he's being a reflection of who he really is.
But is that also Vince's fault too, in some degree? Because if Vince is one saying no, we're pushing the babyface.
Sure.
And
sure.
The rumors for years saying that he wanted to do this a long time ago.
Absolutely.
And it's working.
But you got a guy in Vince McMahon who's almost, what is he? He's older than Ric Flair. 78 years old, almost 80 years old, still making decisions on what will and will not work. And yes, he has a hell of a lot more hits than he does misses.
He does.
But he has his misses. And when you look at what Roman Reigns was, he was making money, but he wasn't making this kind of money.
He was trying to do John Cena for Roman, and that's see John Cena. This is who he is actually. Even though people hated the whole babyface clean cut thing, he's really a good guy.
He is.
This is who he is. So you're right.
But he's a good guy who's practical.
Yeah.
So he's not good to the point where you're going to take advantage of him, but he is good to the point where he's going to do what's best for all of us in the end. John Cena.
Right.
John Cena would make a great politician in that regard.
He really
could. Think about it.
You know
what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of funny when you say that.
Yeah.
As opposed to The Rock, where The Rock is just like, nah, that don't work for me, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Straight up.
You want me in Shazam? That don't work for me, brother.
Nah.
Give me Superman.
Exactly. One more thing. You've had some words about AEW as of late.
Yep.
And MJF. I know on your podcast. Look. I'll be honest with you. I haven't watched any AEW programming in months. And when I first came on your podcast 2 years ago, and I was kind of at the time saying, let's give AEW some time, see what happens here. Tony Khan, this and that, fix some things here. Not to say I'm done with them, because I will watch when I have the time, but I'm at a point now where I'm not even going my way to watch them like I used to. And look, even with CM Punk being gone, just don't really. I don't know. I just feel like I've kind of soured on them as of late. I think I know because the Hunter took over for WWE, and I'm more satisfied with the WWE product. I know a lot of it also the fact that I don't watch week-to-week wrestling like I used to, because it's just too much content in a week and to fit into everything else. But AEW is starting to like not find time for me even on a weekly basis, or even on a bi-monthly basis now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't feel comfortable being right about this. And I think a lot of people misunderstand me in that regard. They think that I'm somebody who wants to be right about some of the real issues that I call out when I talk about sexism, racism, things like that, especially in the lens of pro wrestling, which is supposed to be entertainment.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're supposed to be shielded from that stuff, but unfortunately we're not. And we have to face it, because it affects everything. AEW is worse today than it's ever been. And that's the irony of it. You know what I mean? Women are getting even less opportunities now.
Yeah.
Yes, they finally allowed Will Hobbs to win the TBS championship, which means that, he's the second highest champion in the company, and he beat Wardlow to do it, but he had to have help to do it. And since then, there really hasn't been not much going on with him. It's not like they're centering a storyline around him that's a big deal. So I just feel that AEW it's a disappointment. It's heartbreaking to see that somebody can market themselves as being, woke and with it and hip, and they're going to be the answer to all of our problems. And then they turn around and not only are they acting exactly the way that they said they were against, but in a lot of ways, it's a lot worse. WWE has so much diversity going on.
It's almost sad.
Yeah. And well, you got to give them time. I don't have to give you time to be diverse.
You're carrying me, not the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. Like these are the standards for today. We're not going to go by the standards from friggin' 1981.
Yeah, my time is money. You're not going to be diversity. And to me, honestly, to me, it's really simple as this, though, because all the things you're saying are correct. To me, it's as simple for me in a sense that the reason I don't want to watch anymore, or hasn't watched as much, is because the fact that matter is they don't do anything to call my attention. They are so fixated on one demographic. I want my comedy. I want my sports entertainment. I want my Otis once in a while, you know, and things. Yeah. I don't like to me, as much as I love wrestling, in ring wrestling, all the flippy dippies and all that stuff we call it, skippies, you call that doesn't hold my attention all the time.
And here's the thing:
stories. Tell me stories, please.
You can give me a Ricochet,
yeah,
but you don't need to give me 5 Ricochets.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. But not only that, but tell me a fucking story, please. Yeah. You're not telling me any stories.
Yeah.
And when you start a story, it goes into fucking sidelines for like 4 weeks then.
Yeah.
This is not 1988. In 1988, you could do that. Not in 2023.
No.
When you have so much TV time now.
And here's the thing. There's no indication that they're moving in a direction that shows improvement. In fact, every indication is that they're leaning into this other thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And look, MJF has been a complete failure as a champion. And that's the other part that makes me scratch my head. It's like, damn, that was the best you could do with that character?
And the thing about MJF is he's my favorite guy in the company, and yet I have no interest in him as champion. That's a sad place to be at.
But because you don't have anyone who was built up well enough to draw money with him, number one. And number two, I think they've gone too far with that character and him carrying on the way that he does. It's this guy truly feels like he can treat people like crap in real life. And it's like, buddy, that ain't Ric Flair. One thing that you hear about Ric Flair, he has his faults, chasing women, not home all the time and stuff like that. But you can't say the guy didn't love his family, and you can't say when you listen to other people talk about him, everyone always talks about what Ric Flair did for them. Oh man, he gave me an extra $100 because we had a good match, and or he took me out drinking all night, or he gave me a good time, and it's like, wow, Ric Flair is really one of the boys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I bring that up for this reason. I don't think MJF realizes the responsibility he has as a champion of that company. It's not just about you.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns was insistent upon Sami Zayn being elevated to the point where he talked about the fact that Sami was his favorite wrestler in the company in real interviews. Because it's not just about him. You know what I mean?
Roman Reigns gets it. He gets it.
He gets it. His whole family gets put on. And yeah, that's his family, but still, his whole family got put on. He's making other people the entire way, right?
Yeah.
So I think that Tony Khan is a disappointment, and I don't know. I don't know what happens next, but I can tell you this much, and I've been saying it since the beginning. I do not see how that company continues to survive with him as the leadership. Because there's no way they're profitable. Eric Bischoff is being louder about that too. He keeps saying it more now.
Podcast too, yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no way they're profitable. There's no way.
No,
it's just no way. You look at the arenas and you see how many people are not there. When you look at the content, there's no way they're profitable. So there's that. And the video game still hasn't come out. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
WWE just put out a new video game. It's already the biggest thing going, the highest rated wrestling game, in sports game currently, right?
Yeah.
And yet AEW still hasn't put out their game. Are you kidding me? The thing that they put their company in debt to make?
Sad to see, man. But again, the warning signs were there a long time ago, and he refused to listen. So
yeah.
Anyway, I want to spend more time on other stuff, but we'll talk about another time on politics. We'll talk about another time. Plug away what you got, man. What you got going on?
Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on Twitter. Duke Loves Rasslin at gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. I'm coming up on the 7-year anniversary of the show. That's going to be a couple weeks after WrestleMania, so stay tuned for that, folks. But listen, man.
What you doing for that?
I don't even know yet. I usually have people, they send me messages, and I play, the audio messages. Congratulations. They roast me, all that good stuff. But I'm thinking
I'll send you one probably if you.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate that. I'm thinking of a big guest. I don't know. Sometimes I go with the indie wrestler because I want to put somebody on. Layla Gray.
Yeah.
Was a great example of that. Tiffany Nieves, great example of that. They're both tearing it up since then, by the way. I have an eye for talent, folks. I have an eye for talent. Jay Bougie, who made it into the PWI 500, by the way, the most recent edition. Jay Bougie is going to be the next person coming up. You keep an eye out and an ear out for that name if you don't know who he is already, folks. But Jay Bougie, I'm predicting that this kid, he's going to break through this year in a way that is going to shock some people because he legitimately is coming from the bottom of the indies. For him to even be in the PWI 500 is impossible. But that just tells you how talented he is, and anyone who works with him, he's getting them paydays, which it's incredible to think. Wrestling with him, you're going to get paid on the indies. Imagine that, and like really paid. So
yeah,
Jay, all the way.
All right, buddy. Well, it's been as always been a pleasure. WrestleMania preview.
Sir.
Appreciate having on.
Appreciate you, brother. Listen, my fellow West Indian brother. You and I look like cousins. I appreciate you, man. I'm sorry I didn't do camera today. I've been running around all day. I got to make sure I look handsome like you, man, if I'm coming on camera. So
yeah. Look, I'm wearing a damn Star Wars t-shirt, man. Damn hat. Come on, ain't take that
Listen,
much. Man.
I didn't light up my beard today, man. I totally forgot this morning. So that's my real issue. It's like, listen, I can't be half stepping now because this lives forever.
That's true. That's true.
Next time, though.
Always forever. All right, brother. We talk soon, okay?
All right. Be safe, brother.
All right, man. Be good.